And welcome everyone to a Monday afternoon discussion on the AP poll and the Power 36. I'm Andy Katz from NCAA.com and March Madness. We also have the new net rankings, came out today for the first time, a little later, about a month later than last season, maybe 3 weeks later, which was good because you got more data to analyze. So we'll discuss that real quick. But I want to do the polls first, and I want to talk a little bit about the net here on December 16th. All right, first, the poll. Had Ohio State knocked off Minnesota on Sunday night, I was going to lean to Ohio State as the number one team in my Power 36, and I think they would have been number one in the AP poll. Nothing against Kansas. They're a worthy number one team, but Ohio State, which as we saw, number one in the net rankings, you can check that out at NCAA.com. Wins over Villanova, big at home. Penn State, home. Road win. When North Carolina was at its full complement, big win over there in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Earlier in the season, started the season off with a home win over Cincinnati. So Ohio State had the better resume than Kansas to this point, and the net ranking shows it. But they lost to Minnesota. Weird thing right now in the Big Ten where right now everyone has lost. It's gone on the road. If Northwestern beats Michigan State, then every road team will have lost their first road game in the 20-game Big Ten schedule. So, Kansas won, Gonzaga 2. We both agree on that, AP and Power 36. Gonzaga with a great road win at Arizona over the weekend. They've already knocked off Oregon neutral, Washington on the road, 3-0 against the elite of the Pac-12. Gonzaga is building a number one type resume right now. Here's where things are interesting. AP poll went with Louisville 3 despite losing in New York to Texas Tech without Texas Tech's best player right now, Jamias Ramsey. So I dropped Louisville. I dropped them down to 8. I got Auburn 3. I think they're playing the best basketball in the SEC. Auburn doesn't even crack the top 10 in the AP poll. I don't get that, Oregon, 4 for me. They're playing phenomenal right now, 8 for AP. Great win at Michigan. Then I got Ohio State dropping down. We agree 5. They have Duke 4. I have Duke 6. Kentucky, way deep in the net rankings. Believe they checked in at number 58. Yes, 58 for Kentucky. Because they've got they lost to 183 Evansville. So that hurts them. And right now they've got one quad one win, and that was the first one of the season against Michigan State. So I got Kentucky at 10. They got Kentucky at 6. We'll see Kentucky, Ohio State playing this weekend in Las Vegas after Kentucky takes on Utah in the middle of the week in Las Vegas. Baylor I'm high on. Baylor they're semi-high on. Memphis we sort of agree on. Dayton I was a little higher on than the AP. Michigan and Michigan State in the teens. Arizona, I dropped Arizona out of the top 25 to 27 because they've lost now 2 games in a row to elite teams in Baylor on the road and Gonzaga at home. Butler, we agree on. Villanova, same ballpark, same with Florida State. San Diego State, good to see them in. I moved them up to 15, 20 for AP. Tennessee and Washington. Tennessee, where did I put Tennessee? Did I not have Tennessee? I didn't have Tennessee. I dropped Tennessee, didn't I? Yes. After they lost in a bad game to Memphis. Bad game. So maybe I could have put Tennessee back in, but I didn't think they looked very good at all in that game. Penn State, glad they're in at 23. I got them at 22. Texas Tech, 24. I got Texas Tech at 33 because I want to wait and see what happens. Great win. But they had just lost 3 in a row. West Virginia, we both have them in the top 25. Other teams beyond that, Wichita State, keep an eye on the Shockers. Right now, the Shockers, by the way, they are in the top in the net. Wichita State is at 14. So that's pretty good. And for my other teams in the back part, we've got Illinois after that home win over Michigan, Creighton, DePaul, St. Mary's, good bounce back win for the Gales. Arizona State, I think they're starting to really climb. And then I want to give some love to the undefeated teams. Liberty still undefeated, 12-0. Duquesne still undefeated. Right now, the only undefeated teams are Liberty, Duquesne, and San Diego State and Auburn. Interesting that in the net rankings, San Diego State's number 3. Auburn is number 7. Liberty is number 19. And Duquesne number 20. So 4 undefeated teams are in the top 20. That gives great value to winning games, even though the strength of schedule is weak. A couple teams I think you should keep your eye on here in the net rankings, okay? Richmond, 22 out of the A10. I saw them in person. Legitimately could be one of those teams that they glide along and they could be right there to get in. Northern Iowa, 28 out of the Valley. Knocked off Colorado. They'll get points, basically, even though Evansville's 183. You beat Evansville, which beat Kentucky. That'll help them. I mentioned Wichita State. I think you got to keep an eye on them as well. And as you go a little bit further down, Indiana at 36, Georgetown at 38, 3-0 since James Akinjo gone, their starter. And right now, 2-0 on the road. Strength of schedule is 10. Non-conference strength of schedule is 9. Keep an eye on Georgetown. They got good numbers right now. Virginia, the reigning champs, 39, with a 2-1 quadrant 1 record right now for the Cavaliers. DePaul at 43, you're in the ballpark. Utah State's dropped a little at 47. VCU at 52. Seton Hall all the way down at 55. They got some major injury issues right now. 1-2 against quadrant 1, 1-2 against quadrant 2. Another school to keep an eye on that just to monitor throughout the course of the season is New Mexico. 57. Now they're 0-2 against quadrant 1, but 2-0 against quadrant 2. They swept New Mexico State over the weekend. They're a team that I think to keep an eye on going forward. Outside of that, if you're not in that top 58 where Kentucky is, and you go into that bottom part, of the rankings, you certainly can climb out of that. I mean, like Xavier's at 71. They're going to be in the mix, obviously. St. Mary's at 64. Florida at 78. They were one of my Final Four teams. They're 0-2 in the quadrant 1. North Carolina. I think I got to go all the way to find North Carolina. They are at 95 right now. 95 for North Carolina. 1-3 in quadrant 1. So the Tar Heels certainly with injury bugs right now, with Cole Anthony hurt, it's going to be difficult going forward. There's no question about that. So things to keep an eye on. This week, Kansas is at Villanova. After Christmas, they're at Stanford. So we could have a new number 1 next week. I will be at that Kansas-Villanova game this week. Gonzaga, home, North Carolina. I'll be there for that game. Think about that. Gonzaga going in 3 games in a row. Road Washington win. Road Arizona win. We'll see what happens with a home North Carolina. Ohio State, Kentucky on the weekend. That certainly could have a lot of ramifications down the road, a lot of shelf life in that one. So keep an eye on that one. And then, of course, after Christmas, we have Louisville versus Kentucky. Those are some big games coming up over the next week or so. So Kansas, 1 in both polls. Gonzaga, 2 in both polls. Big difference right now with Louisville. I got Auburn. After that, a lot of schools sort of in the similar ballpark here in both the AP poll and the Power to 36. But now that we've got net rankings, it's going to be updated daily. You can really see where teams are moving up and down. It is a tool. It's a supporting tool, but it's a great indicator of where teams are right now. We've been waiting for this. We've got results to look at. It certainly helps all of us that are putting all these things together. So, little digestion there for something for you guys to digest, debate, and everything. Appreciate all your coverage. Appreciate all of you reading our coverage at NCAA.com and March Madness. I'm Andy Katz. Thanks for watching. Thanks for reading and engaging. Appreciate it. Thank you.